Jesus has set me free. That is what the Corinthians had really understood, and they're absolutely right. They're absolutely right, that if you trust in Jesus, then he has set you free. And he's set you free from religious pressures, the need to perform, to prove yourself. The big difference between Christianity and all other religions is that in all other religions, you have to prove yourself to be worthy of God. It's as if you're climbing a ladder or a mountain. And some people have tried to say, well, all religions are the same. They're like many paths up the same mountain. We're all pursuing the same thing. But actually, if you read the Bible, you recognize it's not a mountain that we've got to climb, it's a precipice. And we've got no ropes, no fingernails even. There's no way we can get up to the perfect standards of God. God came down in the person of Jesus Christ. He took humanity to himself. And as you look at the person of Jesus in the Gospels, if you ever thought that you were good enough for God, just compare yourself with him. And you'll recognize that there is no way you can reach his standard of love and perfection. But he didn't come into the world to condemn the world, but he came into the world to rescue us. So it's not many paths up the same mountain. There's a precipice. There's no way we can get up there. But Jesus came down to rescue us and to lift us up. And as he died on that cross, he took the penalty that we deserve for all our sin, all our failures, the way that we push God out of the picture, almost every minute of every day, consciously or subconsciously. And he took that penalty on himself. And he set us free to know God and to have a relationship with God as our Father, not because we deserve it, not because we're good people, but because we're forgiven people in him. Jesus has set you free, Paul was telling the Corinthians when he first went there 2,000 years ago to that church, one of the first churches that ever began about 10 years after Jesus. So we're free from religious pressures. We're also free from the pressures of society. You know, we're always looking around thinking, what do people think of me? How are they judging me? But actually, if we know that our identity is found in Jesus Christ and him alone, and that because of him, because he died to rescue us, that God looks at us not as someone who may or may not make it, but as his perfect forgiven children, who he loves as he loved his own son. Well, then we know we're free from society's pressures. And then we discover through that means that whether you're a master, as in a very important rich person, or a slave, you're equal in Christ, both children of God. No reason to boast, no reason to grovel, but trusting in Christ. Actually, slaves and masters are equal. That was mind-blowing for a time when half the world were slaves. And there was a huge sense of, if a slave was killed, then there'd be a short prison sentence. But if a master was killed, then execution. The reason we have equality laws in this country is because in the past, Jesus has been the very center of what people believed. And they saw that we are equal in Christ. There's no reason for one to look down on another. Men and women are equal. As we saw as we worked through 1 Corinthians 7, we saw the husband owes his life and his entire body to the wife, just as the wife does to the husband. Well, that's very different in other religions. Equality is not the same. Jesus has set me free from religious pressures, from society's pressures, from the feeling of being a slave, from inequality between men and women. I am in Christ, Paul says, and if I'm in Christ, all things are mine.